So busy with Captain Hook taking the mascot.
I literally worked with Captain Hook and Minnie Mouse today.
Oh, Bruyn, the struggles.
You can't get much better than that.
Yeah.
Ready, set, go.
Hello and welcome to the Lap 5 of the High Mileage Podcast. I am your host, Tyler Yunk. As always, with me is
Bruyn Yunk.
Welcome back. The Lap 5, we made it over a mile.
That was kind of weird that I just said my name, just Bruyn Yunk, and didn't say anything else.
Yeah. Before we get to our guest, though, I would like to wish everybody a happy International Joe Carter Day. It is not Joe Carter Day when you are listening to this, unfortunately, but as the date of this recording, it is Joe Carter Day. Those of you who don't know, Joe Carter is a member of the EIU cross-country team and just a madman all around. So find him.
Former DGN athlete.
Find him on Facebook and stuff and tell him happy Joe Carter Day last Tuesday.
Yeah.
But for our guest this week, we have our expert college analyst, former runner of the Kansas Jayhawks, now assistant coach at Tulsa, James Wilson.
All right, thanks for having me, guys.
We love you. Yeah, it's good to have people here. We finally got someone outside of Illinois here, expanding our horizons. We've only had Illinois guests.
Yeah, so you ran high school cross country and track in Kansas.
Yeah, at Abilene High School. It's kind of a mid-sized school as far as Kansas goes, size class 4A out of 6, so somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize you guys had 6 divisions.
Yeah, it's especially for a state where the population's so small, I feel like it waters down the competition a bit, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, it gives a lot of kids an opportunity to run at a state meet, though.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's good.
That's why, I like Illinois' 3 classes, but there are some times where I feel like they've got some, at least in recent years, once we bumped up to the 3 classes, it's been weird how, like, because we were 2A for cross and then 3A for track, and, like, Skylar is 1A for track, or 1A for cross, 2A for track, and it's just, they need to get a uniformed system down that.
Yeah. It is. It just all depends on, there's so many more schools in the state that have a track team.
We'll talk a little bit more about James. We'll have you talk about your running career. What's it like running in Kansas, since probably most of our listeners don't really know that. And then we'll go in and talk about some of the great college races that happened over the past couple weeks. And Boston Marathon happened earlier this week, big event. So that's the show for today. We're going to have a good one.
Mm-hmm.
James, you said you ran for Abilene, which is pretty, from what I remember you talking about, it's not the biggest of towns. So what was it like?
About 6,000 people.
Yeah.
Total.
What was it like getting into running? How'd you get into it, and how'd you end up at Kansas?
Oh, man. I guess growing up, you do all the sports, at least, football, basketball. What I found that I kind of enjoyed most was soccer, and one of the reasons I found that I was good at it was because I could just run all day long. And, if we're playing 3 or 4 games a weekend in a tournament, I was the kid that coach never had to take out because I could just, I had enough energy to just go forever. And sort of stumbled into track and field that way, and that, I found out, hey, I was pretty good at this, and maybe it could help take me somewhere. So
kind of, that has done that for sure. You picked Kansas. You always were a Jayhawks fan?
I wanted to keep my options open. Yeah, I think I was a Jayhawks fan for majority of my life, but I visited Kansas State, a couple other smaller schools around, a few other bigger schools, including Iowa State and a couple others. But KU was the one where I just felt like I fit in most and felt most at home in Lawrence. So it was nice that it was far enough away from home that I felt like I was doing something new. I mean, Lawrence is not necessarily a big city by any means, but compared to Abilene, 6,000 people, I had like just over 100 kids in my class, and KU's I think over 20,000 total. So
dude, I had a bio class at KU that had over 1,000 people in it.
You take bio 100 in the giant lecture hall with almost like a large percentage of my hometown all in that one room. A little taken aback by that, but I didn't
want to get into Tyler's academic career, can we? Let's just move on to the next thing. You competed for 5 years though at Kansas, right?
Yeah. So going in, being, like I said, the 6 classes in Kansas, competition maybe isn't as good as it is elsewhere. And so despite being multiple time state champion, my times weren't necessarily quite up to par with some of the other guys. And when you get to college, everybody was state champion, everybody was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took me a little bit to make the transition, and so Coach and I decided that it'd be best to redshirt. And so I redshirted all 3 seasons my freshman year, switched majors somewhere along the line, and next thing you know, you end up there for 5 years, which maybe not the most uncommon of things now. I feel like that happens fairly often for people.
Yeah. So you had
Did you have a 6th season?
I only competed 3 indoors because
Okay.
I ended up missing 1 for injury, but I didn't stay in at KU, and now that I'm at Tulsa and I'm a paid graduate assistant coach, you can't compete and do that at the same time. Plus, there's the whole appeal process, and 6 years don't necessarily happen very often. But I enjoyed my 5 years there immensely, and was able to find a little bit of success by the time I was done. So.
Yeah, you had some good. You were all conference a couple times, right?
Yeah, I think actually the first time I scored at the conference meet was, at least on the track, was my 5th year indoors. We took 4th in the distance medley. I came up just short of a couple guys like Chad Noel and Craig Lutz. I think I split 403, 404, which was one of my better races, and then came back the next day and ran 804 in the 3K for 3rd place.
Yeah, that was an awesome race. That was really fun to watch.
So definitely.
That's like a baller right there. Just
definitely made the 5 years worth of work feel like I had something to show for it, I guess, and not that I needed to justify it, but it really felt good to have this finally what I felt like I'd been working towards the whole time and have it all come together. So.
Yeah, and then you scored outdoor as well in the 10K, right?
Yeah, I was also 3rd in the 10K outdoors with 29:35.
Solid races out there. Yeah, I came to know James because you were my host on my visit to Kansas. You were one of you really showed me a fun time there, what it was like, and it was really awesome being down there.
James was my host when I visited you at Kansas too.
Yeah, James is awesome friend to have. You're a big mentor. You taught me a lot. You definitely were good to have on a bunch of workouts, keeping up with you. It was always fun to have you and Evan around.
That definitely means a lot because, as somebody who's trying to pursue a career in this now as a coach, I think there's a lot more to it than just achievement and success on the track. I think helping to, instill some of these characteristics and things like hard work and dedication and friendship along the way are really important too. So.
That's for sure. Bruyn says it all the time that I work, he was, even when I was coming here, he was telling Coach, I remember he was saying this, that I run best for a team that I know has my back or a team that I'm better friends with. And that was definitely what kept me motivated to run, was I was like, I got to do this for James or Evan because this is one of their last years. I got to make sure we do it big and have some good races for them.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. Now that you're at Tulsa, what's it like being on the other side, the coaching side?
Oh, it's really interesting. And I think being a graduate assistant coach is beneficial for me and also the athletes, having somebody who just went through what they're doing for the previous 5 years. And so sometimes, you go to college and head coach may be a little intimidating, or running in college is intimidating, or living on your own is a little bit different. And so to have somebody like me, I think, helps make that communication a lot better. I think that's what's really important. The relationship between coach and athlete is having those open lines of communication.
Have someone you can go and play Catan or Rock Band with.
Yeah. And so I learn new things every day about what's good, what's not good, how I want to do things, how I wouldn't do things, and always trying to get better about how to approach certain situations that I maybe didn't realize while I was an athlete, and now you do get to see the other side of it a bit.
Yeah, that's real good.
You were a captain at Kansas, right? Were you the captain of the team for a year?
I think it's something that we kind of voted on as a team, and then coach had a bit of a say in it as well. So.
Yeah, so you've always kind of had, I'm assuming you were also part of a leader of your high school team and stuff like that. You've always kind of felt like coaching was your calling, going through the through athletics. Was that something that you always knew that you wanted to do, and that was kind of what led you to, Tulsa? Yeah, well,
I guess when I first went to Kansas, I studied engineering my freshman year, and it totally kicked my butt. And I decided that I wanted to have a little bit more going on outside of just studying every single day. And so I changed majors. I got a degree in sports management and business. And I just kept going back to the idea of, what can I see myself doing in 5, 10, 20 years and enjoying myself. And I think being around people who are in the sport, and it's something I really have truly come to enjoy and love being around those people every day. So I think that's what initially, that's what finally drove me back to wanting to get into coaching and stay a part of it. I just, even after 5 years, I'm like, I can't quite get away from it yet. I need to be around this team, and it's something that's been been such a big part of my life that I'm not ready to give it up yet, and I want to see where this goes.
Would you rather coach collegiately or high school level, or what are you looking to do?
I think the plan right now is looking at colleges, and I'll be here I'm just finishing up my first year of 2 for a graduate assistant position, and then so probably about this time next year, hopefully I know where I'm going to end up after this.
Yeah, land something else. That's the way, just making connections.
Yeah, absolutely. But having said that, I wouldn't be completely opposed to coaching at high school. I'm getting my master's degree in education and learning a lot about that along the way too, which is a very good benefit of a graduate position. Is that, they pay for tuition and give you a little bit of extra money on the side, which is nice after having been broke as a college athlete for 5 years.
Yeah, you don't got Mrs. E's up in Tulsa. You can't go there.
No. No, I'm working on my cooking skills, getting pretty good.
Yeah, so you want to talk about meets?
Talk about Mount Sac. Talk a little bit more about.
Just happened.
Mount Sac just was last weekend.
Okay, that's what I thought.
This previous weekend.
Mount Sac. Where was Tulsa at? Did you guys go to Mount Sac, or were you?
We had a group in LA, but they were at the Brian Clay invite, which was maybe 30 minutes from where Mount Sac was going on.
How'd they do?
We had a couple guys run the 5K on what would have been, I think, either Thursday or Friday night, and then the rest of our guys ran the 1500 or the 800 the next day. Mark Scott, who is multi-time All-American, probably one of our, he's probably the biggest known name from Tulsa right now, ran 3:42 in his first 1500 ever. He's definitely leaning more towards the 5 and 10K a little bit. So that was a good season opener for him to go and run 3:42 out there and show some wheels.
Yeah, we had our good friend Will Crocker from Missouri. He was out at Mount Sac, and he ran 3:42 in the 1500, which was super cool to see him getting that going. I really want to see him get out there and get All-American, run at regionals or nationals, and do some crazy stuff. He's got the talent for it for sure. Other notable races.
Mount Sac. The one that I enjoyed the most, I guess, was the 5K. You said 5 or 6 guys coming off that last curve who had a shot to win, but it was the D2 guy out of Adams State. And
baby.
His name is so awesome. His last name is Get a Booty, and I didn't get a chance to watch it live, but going back and seeing the replay and listening to the flow chart guide screaming "Get a Booty" over and over. So he kind of had a bit of a mohawk fade, flat top going on, and these big old Buddy Holly frames, glasses. And he just comes trucking past Pierce Murphy from Colorado, Mason Frelick from Michigan, Patrick Croner from Air Force, who's having a great season. And just to see this guy just come motoring down the last and flying by him wearing glasses, I was like, all right, that's my guy right there.
Holy cow. Dude, Adams State has the history, though. That's always a good program there.
Yeah, so absolutely.
That's cool to see them out there racing with the big dogs in D1 too.
Doesn't show it doesn't matter the division when you're that fast.
No, that's one of the cool things about Mount Sac too. You get to see people from all over the place, Division 3, Division 2, NAI, whatever it may be. Everybody's on level playing field out there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, those big meets are always fun to watch, and they get real crazy. The announcers getting really into it is always a fun thing to see.
How many guys were sub 30 in the 10K at Mount Sac?
Oof. I have results that
because the 10K is usually a pretty big deal at Mount Sac.
Yeah, I want to say that a lot of the guys that ran the 10K probably went out to Stanford 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
2 or 3 weeks ago. So Stanford is kind of gotten more of the 10K guys, where Mount Sac is. I think the 5K was really, really solid.
Yeah. The results page that I have, it doesn't have the 10K on it at Mount Sac. It has the 5K. There were the 6 guys sub 1340.
Whoa.
Yeah, the first 3, like you said, Get a Booty was 13 1336.8. Patrick Corna from Air Force was 1337.2. Mason Furlick from Michigan, 1337.5. Abaya Sibasa. What? I know Simbasa. Why did I say his name wrong?
He ran at OU.
Yeah, he went 1337.86. Yep. Pierce Murphy 1338.1, and Johnny Guy 1339.1. So yeah.
So I've got the 10K, at least the invite section. 19 guys under 30 minutes with the winner at 28:33. 2 guys at 28:33. So definitely duking it out down the.
Oh yeah.
Great.
Who was that?
Miguel Amador Montilla and Robert Cheseret with a T, unattached. In other, it's unattached as well.
Okay.
Top collegiate was Sean Thompson of Duke at 28:47, which I believe, at least Division I, is the top time in the country right now.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good little fact there. Good little.
This is why he's the expert.
I know the Division III record got broke at Stanford a few weeks back.
By the Platteville kid?
Yeah, and it was he actually, the guy that paced him is he's a volunteer assistant at OU, ran at North Central, and was multi-time Division III champion in the 10K, I believe. So,
who is that?
Johnny Crane.
Johnny Crane, yeah, Johnny Crane.
Yeah, Johnny Crane's a 2A guy from Illinois.
Yeah, we know him, don't we?
Yeah.
Ryan Fenton from Flood Track. I did get to watch that one live because my former teammate Evan Landis at Kansas was in the race.
Oh yeah.
So Ryan, Evan ran 28:58 for 4th in that race, which was really good for him. But Ryan Fenton was going on and on about he's making Mortal Kombat jokes, calling Johnny Crane, calling him Johnny Cage.
That's awesome.
I thought that was pretty good.
Test your might.
They gave him a little finish him too at the end, I think. So
that's hilarious.
I didn't know he was volunteering or coaching at OU though. That's cool.
Yeah, he's at OU with Coach Dunn, who has been at Stanford and Kentucky in the past. He's doing a pretty good job at OU right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting to see. I think Johnny actually is maybe going to train with Zap Fitness in Carolina.
Yeah, he is running with them. Yeah, because he ran at the U.S. Championships in the 10K.
Yeah.
And I want to say he ran at the Olympic Trials Marathon, but I'm not 100% sure.
He did run in the trials.
Okay.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what he did, but he was wearing that bright orange Reebok kit that the Zap guys have been in for a while now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's an Illinois guy that really took off in college. Went to North Central and was fast in high school, and then got crazy fast, and so.
North Central, there's some crazy guys there.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember.
Mike Spain.
Mike Spain.
Mike Spain. I know Mike Spain. He came out to the camp I worked a couple of summers back. Mike's a good guy.
Yeah, he is a good guy. He was fast too.
Yeah.
All right, so meet's coming up this weekend, though, now that we've talked a little bit about Mount Sac. That was last weekend. What do we got this weekend coming up?
We got Kansas Relays this weekend. That was the big one that I want to talk about. Is Penn Relays this weekend?
Yeah, Penn maybe is not this weekend, but coming up the following, perhaps.
April 28th through the 30th is the
Penn and
Relays
Drake is the same weekend. Yeah, they're not this weekend, they're next weekend.
Penn and Drake are next, that's correct.
Yeah.
So we had the Mount Sac Relays, the Oregon Relays, Kansas Relays this weekend, Drake Relays, and Penn Relays next weekend. Lots of relay meets in college.
Did we talk about the Oregon Relays live, or was that before the show?
No, we haven't talked about them.
So, as you guys probably know, Cheserick got beat.
It wasn't actually at the Oregon Relays, it was at the Pepsi Invite.
Oh, the Pepsi Invite, that's correct.
Pepsi Invite, Cheserick got beat in the 5K by Colby Gilbert from Washington. Gilbert ran at 13:44 and Ches went 13:50. I watched that race and they were real neck and neck, and the Gilbert kid just outkicked him in the final 200. And
that doesn't happen often.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Colby was saying in an interview afterwards about how he knew that Ches was going to have a great kick and he would have to counter that, and it really did look like he just left him in the dust, which is something that, there's a reason he's called King Ches. That never really happens to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're talking about Penn Relays coming up. If you guys remember last year, the 4x mile where Chaz got the baton him and Jordy Williams from Villanova got the baton way out in front of everybody, and then there was the whole like a 80-second.
Oh yeah.
Something stupid, and then
They just slowed it way down.
Literally everybody got back in the race. I think the entire field, nine or 10 teams are back in the race, even if they had to stick like 100 meters back on the last leg, and they really like just kind of were like doing a fart like back and forth on everybody, and Chesler got beat in that one too. Jordy Williams did put it to him in that last 150 or so.
I love relay meets because they do that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah, you never know what's gonna happen.
You never know what's gonna happen in a relay meet. Like when you have a 4 by mile, that's such a long race, but like so much can happen in a mile alone times 4.
Yeah.
So I got results from last year's, and they were both 16-18. But both of the, Oregon and Villanova's first 3 legs were 4:01s.
Oh gosh!
And then Jordy and Chaz come back with 4:13 and 4:14. It was like a jog fest for a little bit, and a lot of theatrics, and
everybody's just trying to sit and kick. I hate sitting and kicking. It's the dumbest race strategy.
Yeah.
Hey, it's all about that W though.
Hey, if Chazarek thinks that's what's going to do it for him, he's shown now a couple times that he is a little bit vulnerable in those scenarios if somebody's on that day, and so it'll be interesting to see how he goes into the the championship postseason this spring.
Well, where are you? Are you guys sending a team to Penn or to Drake, or?
So we'll have a group at Drake, and then also a couple that are going to be at Peyton Jordan out at Stanford, which is, I believe, Sunday, May 1st. So there's a whole weekend of track and field next weekend where you got Drake going on starting on like Thursday. Penn is like a whole weekend deal, and then finish it up with Peyton Jordan back out at Stanford again at the end of the
for
weekend.
real, dude. All of you people that are listening right now, make sure you tune in to those races that he just named, because there's a lot of track and fields coming up, and there's going to be a lot of big things happening right now. So don't forget to check your social media.
Yeah, don't forget to check the Runner Space Twitter. Special shout out to that guy though. He's awesome.
We're definitely at the point in the season where people who have kind of been sitting out and waiting and picking and choosing the right time to get going. We're maybe 3 weeks out from a lot of conference championships, so people are really gearing up right now, and so you'll see a lot of good racing the next couple weeks.
It's great to see the end of the season where everybody's just frantically trying to make the regional times, and races are just insanely fast.
Yeah. It happens like really early and then really late. Like there's like that first meet of the year every year where there's like a ton of fast times, and people are like, I can ride that time for the rest of the season. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see some people come off of indoors really fit. They were at NCAA indoors and go knock a mark out early, and then you can just train all season. Or try and, chance it and wait until late and make sure you're ready late, I guess. So.
Well, I feel like that, I mean, like speaking strictly like 10K, a lot of guys that do it early on know that they're safe, and they're just going to start training. They're not going to keep racing, because they're just taking it away from their legs,
Yeah, absolutely.
Racing 10K is hard. It's not a fun thing you want to be doing week after week.
Yeah, if you can get that 10K out early, I think that's why so many people have started to go to Stanford, is that
it's like the first weekend of outdoor.
Yeah, you knock that out at the very beginning of April there, and maybe even the end of March. But you knock that out early, and you can just put in a lot of work leading up to the championship season.
So we got anything else we want to talk about with college races?
I'm good.
We didn't really talk much about the Kansas State's coming up, because that's are mostly like Drake and Penn. Do they have a high school meet in it as well?
Yeah, and like we were saying, there's a lot of relays, sprint medleys, distance medleys, 4 by miles. But Kansas has put out some good times in like 1600 and 3200 for at least like the kind of Midwest area the last couple of years. So.
Oh yeah. Those are this will be the first year in like 3 years that I haven't raced there, because we went there when I was in high school. We took a team, and that was a lot of fun getting to just like race a whole different it was just a whole different kind of racing atmosphere that I didn't see too much in Illinois, and just seeing new teams that I didn't know because I hadn't raced them every other weekend because the meets kind of get similar. You see the same groups, but it's also a good place. Like people always talk about like Arcadia being a good place to go like sub 9, but there are always some really good 2-mile times of the Kansas relays for the high school level, at least. I know there have been definitely the last couple weeks there have been multiple people who go like 9-0 or maybe even under.
You guys have a track stadium, correct? Is it shared with the football stadium, or is it just track?
It's just track. They got a new one.
Tyler, when you came and ran in high school, that was the last year at the football stadium, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it was the last year they did it at the stadium because they made the new.
Rock Chalk Park. I'll put a little plug in for that. It's an incredible track facility, and actually I think it's one of 5 that have the IAAF Class 1 certification, meaning it's got to meet so many different criteria in order to have that certification. So the turns are super wide, track surface is really nice, 9 lanes. It really is.
And
nice.
It's got to be fairly like wind resistant because it's surrounded by the stadium, correct? Like is it?
No, that's the old one. The old one was surrounded by the football stadium. The new one just has the one stadium. It's actually fairly open.
Okay.
But the Rock Chalk Park it's a whole like sports complex. It's like super nice. It has the new soccer stadium, the new softball stadium, the new track stadium, and it was just so crazy watching them like build it. We would go out there like when we'd be coming back from runs, we would make like pit stops and kind of see the work that they were putting in, and when it was finally done and being able to go out there to do workouts was super cool.
Dude, I'm never running in Kansas again after you guys took me on that crazy hilly route. Like, hey, we got long one, let's go out.
That's the thing. Everybody jokes.
What, you mean there's hills in Kansas?
Everybody jokes that Kansas is completely flat, but that's all like western Kansas. Lawrence was on the east side where it was just still the Missouri like hills. It got bad.
Yeah, you go out to Rimrock, the cross country course, which is where we took you, Bruyn, and you really can get some good hills out there.
I just remember thinking, when is this loop gonna end? Because I know we're gonna end back at at Rimrock. Like I was just waiting to go. We went all the way around the road or whatever. And I was just like, oh my gosh, when are we gonna get back? 16 miles later around this stupid loop where there's just hills up and down dying right now.
Yep, that's
I've got results from last year's Kansas Relays. The girls' high school 1600 was won in 4:40.
Ooh. Where was she from? Was she from Kansas?
I think it was a Missouri girl.
Okay.
I don't recognize the high school. And the boys 1600 won by Matt Plowman from York, 4:11.
Oh, okay.
And York boys sending out there.
Yeah, it looked like a really good race. There were a couple Illinois boys in there. Bryce Richards.
Yeah, Bryce Richards. He runs for Kansas now. He's a freshman there.
Is it Mundelein? Mundelein?
Mundelein.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that race had 9 guys under 4:18, which is pretty solid.
That is pretty solid, yeah. So keep your eyes peeled for the Kansas Relays. Maybe there's some more Illinois people headed that way.
But speaking of Rock Chalk Park, that's where regionals is this year, right? The track regionals is at Rock Chalk Park, and cross country regionals was at Rimrock. So Kansas got both of them this year.
NCAA West Regional will be at Rock Chalk Park. So that's in the fall. Cross country was just the Midwest, where there's the 9 different regions. But for track, it's everybody pretty much west of the Mississippi. So you're gonna see a lot of the top talent, especially in the distance events. You've got so many of the distance
Texas schools and
the West Regional is always on point, like specifically for distance. Actually, it was funny. I was talking to, this is like totally irrelevant from distance running, but I was talking to one of my buddies who's a thrower, and he said that's how the throwing is at the East. Like the East Regional is like super hardcore when it comes to throwing, whereas the West Regional is super intense when it comes to distance running. And I found that kind of interesting. That I didn't know that.
I think it kind of comes in waves. A lot of times you'll see some of the SEC schools with some sprints and maybe like the long jump and triple jump and stuff. But there's just certain schools that are known for distance. You got Colorado, Oregon, Stanford.
Yeah.
Now a lot of the Oklahoma schools, a lot of the Texas schools. So much of that rich tradition on the distance running comes out of the West region. So it'll be a lot of fun for me at least, to go back to KU and get to see all these people compete there. So
who knows? Maybe we'll have you on an episode talking about that then when it comes down.
We're taking just this handful up on Thursday night to run the open section at Kansas Relay. So
awesome.
Haven't been back up home since Christmas. So
yeah,
it'll be cool.
Say hey to the guys.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk real quick? The Boston Marathon was earlier this week.
Let's touch on that for a little while.
Go through the kind of information. I mean, it wasn't. I don't know how competitive it was this year, considering it's an Olympic year. So a lot of people are like, who raced the trials are now waiting there. On the women's side, forgive me because I'm going to butcher these names because everyone who won is either from Ethiopia or Kenya. Asede Bisaya. from Ethiopia wins the women's marathon in 2 hours, 29 minutes, 19 seconds. A little fun. They tweeted about this, that at one point she was 40 seconds behind the leaders.
Yeah, I put note of this. With only 7K left, so 35K into the race, she was 37 seconds back. Ended up winning by 44 seconds. So that's like a minute 15 or so over the last 7K that she made up on the leaders, which is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
She, like you're saying, she was 40 seconds above second place, who was Tarifi Segeya, also from Ethiopia, was 2:30:03, and then third place was Joyce Kuria from Kenya at 2 hours, 30 minutes, and 50 seconds.
Question, James, do you know how Ethiopia and Kenya choose their representatives for the marathon and for the Olympics? Is it like a trials? Do they have a trials, or is it just...
So unlike the United States, there's not a trials race that determines the three. They just have a selection committee, essentially. But whatever their version of USATF is, their national governing body, selects the team. So at least for Ethiopia, on both the men's and women's side, I think this was as close as you're going to get to seeing some people kind of making their bid for why they should be selected for the team. So in addition to, I think it's the first time ever at Boston that Ethiopia has swept. Top 2 in the women and top 3 in the men was pretty crazy. The winner of the men's race, kept calling him Lemmy. His name is Lemmy Haley.
Lemmy Box of Plenty.
Yeah, 2:12:45. Second place, I think he's won 2 of the last couple years at Boston, Lasisa Desisa, 2:13:32, and then again third, another guy from Ethiopia whose name is even more difficult. Tezge is his last name, 2:14:02.
Yeah.
But
Lasisa Desisa sounds like a Dr. Seuss character.
Yeah, it does. I'll give a quick shout out to the top Americans.
Yeah.
Neely Spence Gracie was 9th, the top American in the women's race at 2:35 even. Fun fact, I believe she was born when her father was running the Boston Marathon in 1990 on Marathon Monday.
Jeez.
So there's a lot of talk that she was essentially, destined to run this at some point. And it's cool that she made her debut and was top American at the same time. And then also on the men's side, Zach Hine was 10th with 2:21:37. And I think times overall were a bit slow, but it was around 70 degrees around start time. Maybe got a little bit windy towards the end, and you hit some of those hills late in the race and maybe push a little bit too early and end up thinking you're feeling good, and then you get past the hills and still got 6 miles, 7 miles, or 5 or 6 miles to go, and it's pretty tough. So
yeah, I mean, our mom ran the Boston Marathon, and from what I've heard from her, it's not an easy course.
No, by no means.
She said the atmosphere was unbelievable, and that's what helped her through it. Everyone around was so awesome, but the course itself was the hardest course she'd ever raced on. She did run her second fastest time and was only 30 seconds away from her PR, and I was like, Mom, why didn't you try harder?
Yeah, that was the only marathon that she did not have to go to the medical tent afterwards. I was man. Mom, you did not work hard enough. Did Baden run at Boston?
Yeah, he I think he DNF'd for the first time ever, so he was pretty disappointed, I think. But I read somewhere that over 2,200 people received medical aid, which is the highest number ever. So wow, conditions must have been pretty tough, I guess.
Yeah. I saw this on Twitter. I wanted to give a special shout out to Tatiana McFadden, who was the winner of the women's wheelchair marathon. She did it in, I think it was the full marathon. I couldn't find specifics, but she did in an hour, 42 minutes, and 16 seconds.
Yeah, that would be the full marathon.
But the reason I wanted to give her the shout out is because she's currently studying at the University of Illinois and is part of the U of I wheelchair basketball team. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, U of I has from what I've heard from our friend Paul, they have an intense wheelchair program there, which is kind of interesting. They can I don't know that they have that really, but yeah, I saw that tweet as well. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, super cool to see some Illinois representation even in the wheelchair races. I started looking up what the specifications for wheelchair racing, and I fell into an internet hole and was learning more about it and trying to figure out the stats for her. It's some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we got anything else?
Nope.
Solid 35 minutes, maybe even a little more because I forgot to start my watch.
Cool.
That's all. That's good enough. That's all we need.
Pretty solid episode. Well, thank you all for joining us again. You can find us on Twitter at at High Mileage Pod. We'll tweet about when we're doing episodes, ask for some questions, give some live tweets, maybe sometimes post videos of teammates getting RKO'd. Where they fall in steeple.
Gosh. Oh, did you guys have you seen the video going around of Andy Dwyer from Parks and Recs? His song we all fell into the pit as like a compilation of steeplechase.
Oh gosh. I need to see that now. I need to go see that now.
Chris Pratt serenading you while you just watch people faceplant in the water, and I feel so bad about it, but can't help but laugh. It's so good.
There's your homework for next week, everyone who listens. Go watch that video. It sounds amazing. But
I think MileSplit put it up. The MileSplit is going around on Facebook, Twitter, whatever.
Yeah. Did you see my RKO video of my friend Riley? The Runner Space Instagram and Twitter, they were blowing it up. They really enjoyed that. It's so funny. He really wanted that. He was really adamant about doing it because I got video of him falling over a barrier, and then I sent it to him and showed it to him, and he replied back in all capital letters, "Make an RKO video out of this." He really wanted it.
Did he get the stunner over the shot?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. So yeah, follow us at High Mileage Pod. We'll be back a couple weeks. We're almost getting to our state series. It's almost Illinois State meet time. Gonna do a lot of episodes on that. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, study hard in school, kids, because it's almost time for finals, and you really need to do well in classes. And I'm gonna be a teacher one day, so I really need to make sure that you're all focusing on your studies and not your athletics.
Is this your weird ending voice?
Yeah, it comes in at whatever time it chooses, I guess.
Whenever it ends, because last week you did Batman to end the podcast. Now you're doing teacher.
Yeah, that was my techer voice.
Can you give me a Batman telling the kids don't do drugs?
I can't do it.
Yes, you can. I believe in you.
No, okay. Well, thanks, James, for coming to the
thank you guys so much. Thank you so much.
You definitely are a lot smarter than we are, and
thanks for being brainy.
We'll have you on another episode in the future for sure. Thank you, everybody, for watching and joining us. See you in a couple weeks.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Finish!